Welcome to the Full-Time Drones Podcast, the show where we take a deep dive into the world of unmanned aerial vehicles and explore their many applications. We'll be speaking with experts and innovators in the field to discuss topics such as drone regulations, emerging technologies, and exciting new applications for UAVs. We will focus our discussions on the current and future opportunities for full-time work in the space. We'll also be featuring stories from drone pilots and operators around the world, sharing their experiences and perspectives on this rapidly evolving industry. So sit back, strap on your headset, and get ready to take flight with us on the Full-Time Drones Podcast. Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to the Full-Time Drones Podcast. My name is Kyle, and I'm your host for this season. This is going to be episode 4, and for those of you watching, you already see him on screen, but got a great guest today. He's actually somebody I've known for a long time, before the industry and then even during the industry. Really cool story how we met. We'll get into all that stuff, but first, just want to introduce you to a good buddy of mine, Jay Anderson. Jay, if you want to introduce yourself, tell everybody a little bit about your background before coming into the drone industry, and then if that did translate into using drones, or if drones were just brand new to you.
Okay. Well, how y'all doing? I'm Jay Anderson from Full-Time Drones. I started off with a media background, pretty much shooting music videos, photography, doing events, weddings. And I brought a drone. I purchased a drone, just for freelance. And that was pretty much, like my go-to thing as a hobby. And then one day, I was looking on, I think it was either Craigslist. I want to say it was Craigslist.
Yeah, I think it was before Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, it was way before Facebook Marketplace. So Craigslist, and I had just broke one of my stabilizers, a Zhiyun crane. And I wanted another one because of the ease of use of it. And I seen it online, and I hit Kyle up not knowing. So I pulled up to his studio, and I just seen a whole bunch of drone materials, drone equipment, and I just seen a whole bunch of stuff. But media equipment, I mean, if y'all don't know Kyle, I ain't gonna say he a hoarder, but the man got everything.
Well, you never know when you're going to need like a 4th gimbal stabilizer.
That's true. That's true. So, I ended up meeting him, ended up buying a drone. Short convo, just asked him what he do. He just told me he had a media background. Me not knowing anything about, the commercial side of the industry or even how to get into it. So maybe, what it was like, I don't know, maybe like a year later, a few months to a year.
Probably 8 or 9 months later, because I think we met right before I left and came out to California doing the PG&E project.
Yep.
And I was out here for, I don't know, 9 or 10 months.
Yeah.
Came back to Florida and almost immediately got called back out. Yeah. But I was doing a live stream and also a video shoot at the University of Florida. And we were doing some drone footage, and at the time, it was very difficult to get access. One, it's in a zero grid, and Lance wasn't available for the Gainesville airport, and so we got FAA permission. But the problem was the University of Florida would not let us launch off of their property. So we had gone to the extreme of finding out who owned the frat houses, across the street, and got permission from them. And during that time, the University of Florida actually did work with us. The guy that ran their drone program finally gave us permission to take off and land. He wanted to come out and see it all. So I just, I posted online, hey, we're going out to the University of Florida tomorrow. We're shooting a bunch of footage of the football stadium. And Jay saw that I posted it because we'd connected online on social media. And he was like, hey, I don't know enough about this, but I just want to be there. Like, if you want me to film, take photos, just run batteries, whatever you want, I'll show up. I just want to be around, and I kind of want to learn.
Yeah.
So we go out the next day, and we're having a lot of fun with it. And we've got probably 4 or 5 guys on the shoot with us. And during the shoot, the SDG&E project came up. like, hey, this is what we're going to do. They're taking pilots. They're also taking visual observers. It's this, it's this new industry. And so, Jay just asked, he's like, how do I get involved with that? And so, well, first, you got to get Part 107. Yeah. Once you get your Part 107, then you can come out and you can start as a visual observer, log hours, and, eventually become a pilot. And so he said, okay, well, what's the best way to study? I said, well, hey, I've got a study guide. There's also some stuff on YouTube. And I want to say, like, the next day or two, he's taken the Part 107. Yeah. He passes a test, gets his temporary certificate, so he's good to go. He's good to come out. And within, like, 4 days of knowing him, well, I'm sorry, we met once. Within 4 days of actually hanging out with him, he's coming out to California with us and working on this huge project. And we've, literally been out here ever since. We travel the country some and during off seasons. And work on a lot of projects. We'll still fly back to Florida and work on some survey type projects, doing a bunch of LiDAR stuff. But it's crazy that I finally decided that I had too much equipment and I was going to try to sell some. And I said, let me start with these gimbal stabilizers. Yeah. I'd upgraded to the DJI Ronin series and didn't need the Zhiyun cranes anymore, so I put them up for sale. He comes and buys it, and that's literally, I think, the only piece of gear that I've ever really sold. And and that's how we met. And he's been, from that day to coming out to California and he worked with me as a visual observer. We kind of made our way up the ranks, and then he got an opportunity to fly as a pilot like 2 years ago, and he's kept the position ever since. And so now we're working on that. He helps a lot on the back end with the full-time drone stuff, with the filming and the editing, and doing all of our stuff we do with Telcom. He's part of the flight crew. He's also part of the QA. Well, right now he's the entire QA team. So he does a ton of stuff in the background for us. But that's kind of how we met and how it evolved into, he's kind of my right-hand man helping run things.
Yeah. It's just kind of crazy, though, how once you actually meet somebody and not really figure out, but see how, you can evolve around them. And, I mean, since being around Kyle, from 2018 to now, if I wouldn't have met him, to be honest, I don't know what I'd be doing right now. I still, be in some type of media, but I just felt like the drone industry definitely changed my life. And just the pursuit of, seeing how hard he goes, I have no choice but to, go hard.
Yep. That's why I always say, people ask me, what's the most important thing you're doing when you're trying to grow your business or getting to a different space? And I always say, like, networking. You'll never find a better marketing strategy than networking. Like, getting in with people, people who are young and up and coming in the industry. I mean young with their involvement in the industry, not age young, but coming into the industry, the best thing you can do is find a mentor type person or several of them, and it doesn't have to be somebody you physically have contact with every day, but just somebody you can bounce ideas off of, ask questions, and you're obviously willing to do whatever they ask to grow, because you want to be immersed in this technology and in these industries and in this field. And so networking it's not just about landing jobs, but it's about connecting with the right people. I had no idea when he came and picked up that gimbal that a year later we would connect, and that he would actually go take the Part 107 the next day and get on a plane and fly out to California. And then, by chance we end up working together. We didn't plan that. It just, the way that everything aligned, we end up working together and, kind of set ourselves apart by our work ethic and our quality. And, we both wanted to be the best. And so we kind of grew and evolved into that. And so networking is not just going to land clients. Networking is also finding the right people to work with within the industry and to grow with. So, I think we've talked a little bit about your background, but, how did you even get into media, like video production, photography, all of that? Because I know it's more popular now,
right.
But like when you and I got into it, it wasn't very popular.
Yeah.
There weren't a ton of YouTube videos showing you how to do things.
Yeah.
And, iPhones didn't do anything that they do now.
Right,
They called and texted.
Exactly.
So how did you get into media?
I mean, when I was in elementary school, I was the cameraman for our morning news show. And I mean, like I always had a job, Publix, plumbing. I did a lot of different things. But as far as media, I got into it because I just like quality stuff, photos, videos. And then I studied like on YouTube like 6 months before I bought my first camera. So when I jumped into that, I started working with an artist, and the situation kind of went bad, so I kind of wanted to, switch lanes, and that's when I picked up a drone, and then like the rest is history. I mean, like media is my passion, but I got a love for the drone industry now. I just want to learn every aspect of it, from utilities to LiDAR to solar to whatever it comes with.
So of all the industries that we've worked in,
Yep.
What is your personal favorite? And then second part of the question, what of all those industries, what do you think is the easiest to get into for somebody just coming into the commercial space?
I would say my favorite is telecom.
Yep.
You get to see different things every day, travel to different cities. You either get rooftops or towers, and it's not the same type of tower. You get monopoles, guy towers, the stealth towers. You get I'm trying to think of the other names.
Self-supports.
The self-supports. It's like you see different things, when you come to a site, or you assign different things. And I mean, it's not about the money, but at the same time, it's like with telecom, like you do get an opportunity to go harder each day and make more money each day. And to me personally, I feel like telecom might be the easiest to get into. Because utilities, it's kind of about who you know, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Because like if you don't know anyone, it's kind of hard to get into it. But you also have to be a good drone pilot and know what you're looking for to get into the utility industry. But if you got a good trainer as far as telecom, I feel like that's a little more easier than utilities.
Yeah, I agree. I do think telecom is the easiest barrier to entry. I think when we talked to Isaac on his episode, he kind of said the same thing. He's worked in just about every industry.
Right.
I think it's the easiest to get into as far as the work itself, but I also think it's the most affordable. Like you can get in with a Phantom 4 Pro or a Mavic 2 Pro.
True.
So $1,000 to $1,500 for a used drone with some batteries.
True.
And then most of the other stuff you can use your phone for. Even now the Matterport scans, some of the compound work we do.
That's true.
You can use your phone to do Matterport scans, or you can get a very cheap 360 style camera. And then after that, it's also just how hard are you willing to go? If you want to hustle, then we have guys that make over $1,000 a day consistently. And then if you say, hey, I just want to work at a 8 to 5 pace, you can still make good money. You can still bring in a couple $1,000s a week. You're on the road. You learn how to dial in your system to where your expenses are so efficient that you're routing your map a certain way. Some guys live out of their car and get a gym membership locally to shower, or they'll sleep in their car one night and get a hotel the next night. It just it really depends. I'm not a huge fan of that. I like to take a shower every night. So when I was on the road, we would Airbnb, because we usually get 100 plus towers in a city in a couple weeks to do them. So it's easy to set up in an Airbnb, or like if him and I were working a market together, we can both get our own bedroom. We can have a kitchen to cook in, so you're not eating out every night, and still take a shower at night, and it's easy to charge up. But For new guys getting in, I agree. I think telecom's by far the easiest to get into, and I think there's the most opportunity because it's nationwide.
Yeah.
Utilities are still, kind of focused in certain areas.
Right.
You've got pretty much like the West Coast and the East Coast doing it from a lot of the natural disaster stuff that they deal with, but kind of the rest in the middle, they aren't doing it as much, and I think that's something that'll change tremendously over the next couple of years.
Yeah.
But as it sits right now, I think
Yeah.
telecom's the way to go.
Definitely agree.
So what do you think sets you apart from others in the industry? Individually, like what about you makes you different?
I mean, I'm kind of like my type. I'm more so of a listener, and I like to take advice and actually put it to use versus just taking information and doing the opposite. I'm a very hard worker. I work hard. I try to make the minimum mistakes, if any. And I don't know. I just like to take in a lot of knowledge and just put it to work. Like I just go hard. Like I'd rather work than talk, or I'm pretty much straightforward when it comes to work. I just like to get the job done.
Yeah. I like to. Jay's that guy. If you were ever at a party growing up and like a fight broke out, and there's two guys, it's always the two loudmouth guys, and neither one can fight. But as soon as all the buddies start backing each other, Jay's like the quiet guy in the back that you don't want to mess with him because he's quiet, he's not running his mouth about how good he is, he's just sitting back there, but I'm pretty sure that he could take everybody here. So he's just like, he's the quietest person I've ever met and just gets it done. Yeah. It's funny because you'll never hear anything out of him, but then you look at the end of the week and you're like, damn, you finished first again, or you did more than this market, and this market, and it's impressive to watch. But especially from a lot of there's I won't say a lot, there's a fair amount of people in the industry who are really good at what they do, and they let you know how good they are. There aren't a ton of guys in the industry who are just very, like, you don't even know. Like, you've never even heard of them. But then you all of a sudden start looking at their credentials and the success they've had.
Yeah.
And Jay's one of those guys. He just been doing it a long time, probably has more flight experience than just about anybody in the industry. But never heard of him because he just works quietly. He's the quiet guy that you don't want to fight in the back.
I mean, sort of like full-time drones. I mean, hey, people never heard of us, but we finna break through the roof.
Yep.
So
yeah, I agree. We just kind of sat back and waited our turn.
That's it.
And here we are.
That was pretty much me. I sat back and waited my turn.
Yep. So I know I've talked about mine, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask, but what was your aha moment when you realized drones are going to make a huge impact across not just a utility or a telco, like across so many different industries? Like, what is there one defining moment that stands out to you, or is it like a series of moments, or was it a project? Like, what was the aha moment?
Like for me personally, or
for you personally?
I would say, that's a good question. My aha moment.
So for me, just to maybe help find a moment for you, when we were doing storm work after Hurricane Michael, we were, kind of detail organizing everything and delivering it, and it was, I think it caught the command center off guard, like some of the directors, that we had all this data and all this information.
Yeah.
And so they looked at it and they said, we're going to over order way too many poles. Like, we don't have as many on the ground as we thought.
Mm-hmm.
We're essentially going to have something like 2,000 poles that just sit out in our yard and rot before we ever get to use them. And they're $1,200 a pole, so it's a couple $100,000 of money that's just going to be sitting out there that we just assumed, based on our guys doing it the old school way, riding the lines in the truck. This is our estimate based off that.
Yeah.
Now that we actually have data to look at, and there's actual evidence of the data, it's not just a guesstimate.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
And it was the first time that I looked at the industry as, this isn't just going to be a cool side hobby.
Right.
Like, this is going to be big. And this was before, any of the work out west started, or any of the big utilities started using drones. It was just like, wow, this is incredible.
I mean, think about it. I would say my aha moment was when we went out and did LiDAR. What? How many acres was it?
1,700 acres.
1,700 acres, and if we wouldn't have had bad weather, we would have done it in 2 days. Oh. And the amount that you told me that it made, I'm like, oh yeah. But just the information that we gathered, just from flying, over 1,700 acres of vegetation, I'm like, oh yeah, this game changing.
Oh yeah, yep. And,
it's no doubt about it.
And just for context for people who are listening, I don't have a problem sharing some of this information. For us, it was a 1,700 acre project, and what the project was the group that owned the property was trying to separate it into 9 separate commercial spaces. They were going to build a storage unit and a couple of other things, but they needed to see drainage. They needed kind of pre-planning. So they needed a topo survey of 1,700 acres. And, we had the survey company that we were working with. They went out and set all the control, checked us into everything, got us, known monuments for our base station, everything. They did all of the ground and survey work. We went out, we flew, collected data, processed it, tied in their points with ours, and then delivered contour files, 1-foot contour files. And it was somewhere around like $55,000 or $56,000 project for us. And it was 2 days of flying LiDAR and collecting data. It was 3 days of processing and aligning the data, because we split it up into multiple days. And, and from that, and then a good chunk of that went to the processing fee, just because we had to expedite it. It was all last minute. The surveyor waited too long. But after talking with him, it was because it was such a swampland and there was very little access. Everything was overgrown. It was nasty. And, he estimated with a crew of 4, it would have took them about 3 or 4 months.
That's what I was most surprised about.
To accurately shoot everything in at the grid that they needed to, and to kind of section it all off. And for him and one other guy went out for 2 or 3 days before us and 1 day after us to tie everything into what we did. And so a 3 or 4 month project of collecting data, and then maybe an additional week of a CAD guy putting it all together, turned into, we flew it on a Saturday, Sunday, like literally flew from California Friday after work, flew it Saturday and Sunday, caught the red eye, and we're back at work Monday morning out here in California, and processed all the data and had it delivered by Friday. Yeah. So that was a cool moment for us. For me, just seeing what LiDAR can do has been incredible. It encouraged a lot of some of the YouTube content that we've got coming out. We've got a video coming out soon that was a comparison between the DJI L1 sensor, the ROC robotic R2A sensor, and a company called GeoSun. They have a GS100V sensor, and it compared all 3, and we use those 3 because they're all under $20,000 and still deliver good quality. And just kind of focused on the L1's easy to use. The ROC R2A is, from a data collection and a deliverable standpoint, probably the easiest to use on the market. The DJI is kind of, between Terra and everything else, they're making it easier to use, but they don't have a platform where you can actually utilize the LAS file. You still have to use something like the ROC Cloud or any other software that you can use LAS files in. But Focusing some of our content towards LiDAR. It's becoming a very popular topic. It's becoming used in more and more situations. We see it in construction. We do it daily in utilities. Starting to see it some in specialized use cases in telecom, and then obviously you have the land survey field that is huge with it, and it's been a really exciting project for me personally, doing it for the last couple of years. Back when it wasn't affordable to, now it is fairly affordable and fairly easy to use, and the deliverables that you can come up with are it's incredible. You can save so much time and so much money. So that's actually a really good aha moment. I'd already had mine, so that was another one. Like, I feel like each LiDAR project we do just surprises me more and more. It's a lot of fun. It's similar to telecom. It never gets old, because each project, they call you in because it's a pain to do it, the traditional method. So, there's always challenges, and it's fun. I love the technology. So that's also what influenced a lot of our online platform that's coming out is, we want to be able to provide education into how to use this in different scenarios. Like, hey, we'll take you in the field, and you're not just going to learn the technicalities from behind the desk. You'll also see it in the field, and this is how you use it, and this is a problem we encountered. This is how we overcame it, and it's real clients who have agreed to let us share data, and so it's not just here's how you do it, but this isn't a real project.
Right.
So, all industries incorporated in this. Where do you see the drone industry going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Oh, I see it taking over, being like the go-to. Of course, you still gonna have to have man do some things, but I feel like it's just gonna take over. And whoever's been in the industry already, like if you already been in it, I feel like you could be at the top of the top. Like the go-to call persons,
Yep. I agree. I think the people who have been in it since, not long after the Part 107 aren't focused on being drone pilots who get called to do projects.
Yeah.
I think those people are, the ones starting to start their own business, or, come up with the new way of doing things to kind of make an impact as we move forward. The technology, the software, everything is just evolving so rapidly. And it just, it's kind of hard to keep up with, but I agree. I think, everybody talks about when is the boom coming? Like, when is it just going to explode? When's the top going to come off and it erupt? And I still don't think we're there. I think we are getting close. I think 2024, maybe into 2024, early 2025 is when just the lid blows off and the whole industry just erupts. And, part of that's going to be you're going to have more people coming into the space. So it'll create, I don't think it creates competition as much as people think. I think it creates more opportunity.
Right.
200 qualified pilots doing work only allows so many utility companies to really invest heavily.
Right.
1,000 qualified pilots allows so many more utility companies to give it a shot, because now they know they're going to get good quality work. It's consistent with what everybody else across the country is getting. And, I haven't seen a single utility company who got good data and, contracted out the inspection part, the analysis, the reporting, who has said, I just really don't feel like we got our money's worth. They all say, this is incredible.
Exactly.
Like, what else can you guys do?
Exactly.
Like, do you think we could do this? Do you think we could do this? And so it sparks a lot of innovative ideas. So I agree. I think probably late 2024, early 2025, we see the boom that everybody's been waiting on. And I think just it grows like crazy. And so, for pilots who are listening, or, I think I missed it, it's too late to get in. Like, I don't think we're anywhere close to that yet. I think you can get in 6 months from now, you can get in a year from now and still not be too late. Understanding, the biggest part of incorporating business and kind of entrepreneurship with drone piloting skills is important. Like if you just come in and say, I want to be a drone pilot, I learned how to fly a drone and can take photos. Like that's not going to get you very far.
Right.
But if you come in and say, okay, I know how to solve problems. I know how to ask people and find out what their pain points are. And a drone is a very resourceful and valuable tool that I can use to solve those problems. You immediately put yourself at the top of the list. You're getting calls for, whatever problems people run into. And, I think if you can figure that part out of the business, you won't be looking for work. You will become a full-time pilot in this industry, whether it be one specific industry or working across 3 or 4 different industries like we do. It's, utilities last 8 or 9 months a year. And then we also have telecom that fills in, and we're doing LiDAR stuff in between, and working on solar stuff in between. There's a lot of small stuff that fills in gaps, and it keeps it to where all of our guys can work year round. So if I'm a new pilot coming into the industry, and I've got a little bit of background, a little bit of experience. I've been flying a Mini 3 Pro or something for a little while, and have the basic controls down. Like what's the best advice that you would give someone coming in?
I would tell them to get the full-time drones course. That's what I would tell them. I would tell them to enroll in full-time drones, because you're going to get the best information. You're going to get all the information that you need to know to, elevate your mind, your game, what you want to do in the drone industry. Because there's so many different outlets. And not really saying focus on one, but focus on one to start and then expand. But I would just tell them, just to, get with it, someone experienced, and, shadow them, and, see if this is what you really want to do. Because you can become very successful in it.
Yep. No, I like that. I always use the analogy, if you're investing in stocks and you don't know what you're doing, you're going to go in and you're going to buy a safe stock first, just to see. Like you now have a portfolio. And as you grow and expand and learn more and more, you don't want to just be invested in Amazon or Apple. You want to kind of start to grow and diversify your portfolio. So if you take the same approach with your industry-specific training and knowledge base, then you'll have your riskier stocks that could deliver more reward, but then you always have your safe stocks that are going to grow at a 3 to 5% rate annually, and so it's kind of diversifying your work portfolio. The more the more opportunity you have to work, but you can't just dive in and say, I want to learn 5 industries at once. Learn one, get good at it, figure out what your clients need, or find a drone service provider company that's hiring for pilots in that role, and just come in and immerse yourself in it and learn. Like he said, network with people, find a mentor, and just learn. And as soon as you feel like you have a really good grasp on it, and you're comfortable day to day in that, expand into something else and continue to learn. If you're continuing to learn and educate yourself, you'll never get bored in the industry, but you'll also never be unemployed.
Right.
I see so many people who are really good at one thing, and then when it's off season, or if the project starts a little late the next year, or whatever happens, it leaves them looking to get into a new industry. Whereas the guys I see that have 3 or 4 different industries that they're really good at, they're always busy. They're always on a contract somewhere. And I think travel has a lot to do with that. If you're willing to travel, that's very big. That plays a big role.
So if you're gonna get in, and just keep in mind of that. If you want to see different things, you just can't. I would say just be a risk taker if you can. Yep. Chances make champions. So if like telecom, you definitely have to. You can't just sit back and wait in your city. It's like in life, you know what I mean. Sometimes you might find that one thing that's the cash cow, but sometimes you might have to go outside of your city to expand. And I feel like that's what I did as far as coming to California. Like, I took the leap of faith. Like, me personally, I never saw myself coming over here. Never. I never saw myself in the drone industry. So, again, it's network, and then, you know, just take a chance, take a risk. Because the other side, it just might be, you know, it might be your season.
Yep.
Yeah.
Line out of one of his songs. For those of you who don't know, Jay also does music with Jay Spiffy.
Yeah.
So, what is, you know, kind of boxing reference, pound for pound best fight? What's pound for pound best drone in the world? Like, of the drones you've used, I know that there's some that you haven't, but just you know, best drone in your opinion, dollar for dollar, pound for pound.
For me, I would say the M300. That's like that's him. Like, when people say that's him, that's him. Like, it I don't know, I done dealt with a lot of drones that swayed in the air back and forth. The M300, to answer your question. Yeah, paired with the H20. I haven't dealt with any other lens, but H20 with the M300, you gonna win every time.
Yep.
Every time.
It's hard to beat. It's hard between the H20 or H20T, having the thermal built in, or the P1 with photogrammetry and mapping. It is a very hard system to beat, but it's not expensive anymore. I've seen some people recently selling them for like $8,500 for the whole setup. Not a sensor, but the drone and batteries and charging stations. I think, you know, with the new M350 out.
Oh yeah.
So I guess maybe it does kind of start to creep in that class, because I've always been a huge fan of the Phantom 4 Pro and feel like it is just, you know, for $1,000 you just can't beat it, because it was the last drone that DJI allowed everything to be in. Like, it's got the mechanical shutter, so you can do mapping and photogrammetry and your tower inspections and move at a faster pace. And it's got the video quality, being able to film 4K at 60 frames per second.
True.
You know, they included all of it in that one, and then started saying, all right, when we come out with the next line, we're going to put the Mavic 3 Enterprise out, and it's only going to be good for mapping. And then we'll put out the multi-spectral, and we'll put out the thermal, and we'll put out the Mavic 3 Classic, and the Pro. Like, you have to buy 7 different drones now to do what one drone did. But the M300, it's probably my favorite one to fly, because it's a workhorse.
Yeah, but I agree though. The Phantom 4 Pro V2.
Yeah, V2. You gotta get the Oculus.
Yeah, you gotta get the V2. Those two probably my favorites. Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Yep.
That Phantom 4 Pro that made a lot of money.
Yep. Yeah, I think I know a lot of people who have made 6 figures several times flying that year round. Yeah. So what about I know you recently got into the FPV, the DJI Avata.
Hey, that's a whole different world there, boy. That FPV, like, you gotta know what you're doing with that. I mean, it's definitely cool, like the Avata, with the goggles and everything, but like the real FPV, nah, I couldn't deal with that.
I will say, if you work in the drone industry and you think you're a drone pilot and want to claim that you're good, go try to fly FPV. That is the biggest slice of humble pie that you will ever eat. It's incredible. And I see guys flying it. You know, Andy, who works with us, he is. Yeah, I see him post FPV videos every day, and it's like true FPV, not the Avata. And he's flying in full manual, and like, it's incredible the stuff he's doing. And then I go out and I try it, and I'm not there yet. I'm about to have to find some time to dive into it.
The Avata cool though.
It is.
It's definitely you definitely get a different viewpoint from it, as far as hill diving, going in between things. I don't know. It's definitely a different experience.
Yeah, and I like the fact that they have GPS mode and they have a sport mode where you can still be kind of careful and enjoy the FPV experience, and then, you know, using the warp stabilization on the back end so you can get some clean looking footage. It's cool. It's added to some of the video production stuff we do with what we put out, but Still working on that manual mode. Got to learn how to solder so that I can do it at a more affordable rate.
Right.
So, cool. So how can people keep up with you? Well, I guess, and we kind of talked about this. So, like, this isn't just about drones. Like, you know, tell us a little bit about music, how you got into it. Because I feel like music and media and production all kind of flowed together. Like, that's why I started doing it. I mean, that's honestly how I got into production. Was I played music and I was playing out all over the state in the Southeast region, and I don't really talk about it, so people probably don't even know.
Right.
I used to play music and go all over. You know, played some pretty big shows. Got to play, like, not share the stage, but be an opening act for like Leonard Skinner and some other big guys, and so did that, and that's what led to me putting together a studio in Gainesville, Florida. Was I didn't want to keep going to Nashville and paying to record up there, and so we put it together, and the first thing that when we started recording audio and music was it's not just audio and music anymore, it's video.
Exactly.
So got online and YouTube University, learned video production, and started incorporating that with all the audio stuff, and then I realized that I love video production just as much, or maybe even more. And so started doing that, and then it led to the drone thing, and I'm like, man, I kind of love this even more. It's it's making me grow. So talk about a little bit about your music career and kind of how that led you to here.
I mean, pretty much the same thing. I started doing music when I was in college. I didn't take it serious. I started doing it when I was in like 2008. Well, I didn't take it serious till like 2011. And then I opened up for a few big artists, Plies, Trick Daddy. Went on the road and the indie grind. And then my wife, wife of some years, don't be mad at me. I mean, because we've been together since college, so I mean, all that counts. So it's been about 12 years, like, truthfully. But she got pregnant. I had to, take life a little more serious. So I figured if I was to pick up a camera, because me personally, I got tired of people, like, I got tired of paying for videos. So I picked it up and I'm like, well, I can either shoot myself or I can charge people. So I started charging people. And again, YouTube University. That's why I say I studied for like 6 months how to edit, the f-stops, everything about a camera. And that kind of led me, to the drone industry. But music has always been like my first passion, like a little bit after basketball. Once I realized I couldn't make it to the league, I was just like, all right, I'm going to pick up music. So I started doing music, and then, again, it led me to here. So, media, and then drones. No. But it all tied, though.
Yep. Yeah, I think it all kind of fuses together.
Right.
So, cool. Well, how can people listening, watching, how can they connect with you? Like, where you at on socials? Because I know you've got the Shooter's Touch Films, and so just kind of let everybody know how and where they can connect with you.
Okay. On my Instagram, TikTok, YouTube is Shooter's Touch Films. My music, you can find that on all platforms. Jay Spiffy, that's JaySpiffy. It's all good music, good motivating music, nothing too crazy. If you listen to it, I promise you'll enjoy it. You can also find me on the Full Time Drones YouTube channel.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, we got, I think Jay's getting ready to put out, so for those who did see the Day in the Life episode, we just released our first one last week, and I wasn't going to do this, but I feel like maybe it's appropriate, because I mentioned it in the video, but I never shared the results, but I did beat Jay by like 20 minutes that day. And he came back with food, so, we agreed we were going to declare it a tie, but I got back to the office here first.
He did. When I walked in, he was like, I was like, yeah.
Filming. He's like, yeah.
Yeah, you got me. You got me. Yeah.
So, if you did watch the first episode, now you know. If you didn't, go check it out. It's live on our YouTube channel. We've got that series coming out every week. We've got a season following me around and all the stuff I've done. We've got a season following him around and all the stuff he's done, and a couple of the other guys that work for us. So we'll have plenty of that type of stuff coming out. We're gonna put some educational stuff on the channel as well, and then we'll have our online platform, which we're going to go ahead and just say, because it'll hold me accountable to actually do it. We are currently planning on a Labor Day weekend launch on the platform. We've got most of our stuff ready to go. Our speed, I'm happy with the speed and where we're at. So, in the next week or so, we'll start beta testing. We've got a huge list of those guys already. So, we'll have people actually testing it out and give us a couple weeks to fix any of the bugs that they find, and then we'll be live and online, and we're going to launch. It'll be free for the entire weekend of Labor Day weekend, and then after that, for the premium and VIP stuff, we'll start charging, and we'll kind of, we'll release some video content on that as well, how to use the app, all the functionalities it has, breaking down the pay structure and all that. So stay tuned for that kind of stuff. And if you're just listening to the audio, make sure to head over to the Full-Time Drones YouTube channel and stay in touch with all this. You can also check us out on our socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. We'll have all these announcements coming, and we'll also have early access to our subscribers and listeners to the mobile version, the mobile application version, and there'll also be a desktop version. So thanks for tuning in today. We're going to wrap this episode up. Y'all make sure to check out Jay online, Shooters Touch Films, Jay Spiffy for the music, Full-Time Drones for some of the other content. Yes, sir. And we will catch you guys next week.
You got to mention the Full-Time Drones community on Facebook.
That's right. That's my bad. We've got the Full-Time Drones community page.
Yeah.
I know I think last I saw we were up to about 600 plus members. So we will continue to run that after the platform is launched. I know some people prefer Facebook. So we'll have that platform as well. Our personal platform will be a social media hybrid with online learning. So if you hate Facebook or you hate social media, but you still want access to all this stuff and want an interactive community of people who are going to be positive and uplifting and supportive, you've got a dedicated platform for it. So thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will see you next week.